We're back on Warriors TV. I'm Tim Roy along with Jim Barnett and Tom Tolbert. We're breaking down the 2013 NBA playoffs, and we're going to get to the Warriors and Nuggets series in just a moment. But a reminder that if you're interested in playoff tickets, complete information can be found at Warriors.com or by calling 1-888-GSW-HOOP. The Warriors are also giving away 2 free playoff tickets each day through different social media channels as part of their playoff ticket scavenger hunt. Once again, complete details can be found at Warriors.com. So, guys, here we go. It's the Warriors and the Nuggets. And as one of my friends tweeted me last night, he said that this is sort of reeks of an ABA series. You know, we could have a 124-120 final. Do you think it's going to be that high scoring, Jim? Do you think it's going to be back and forth like that?
Yes, I do. I think it's going to be a very high scoring series. They're a very athletic team, Denver. I can talk about them at length, how they gave the Warriors fits this year, points in the paint. They don't always just jam it down your throat in a half-court situation. They do that with fast breaks, and they put a lot of pressure on you.
Tom, you've played in Denver. The Warriors are going a day and a half early before the first game. They're going to be there for about 5 days. Is that an advantage as opposed to just going into Denver and playing one game?
Well, I plan to get there early and acclimate myself, too. I'm going to go out for a jog and get the burn. And I don't know if it makes much of a difference. I think no matter how many days you spend there, well, I shouldn't say no matter you spend a month or two there, but the first 5 minutes always hurt. They do. Your lungs start burning, and you're gasping a little bit for air, and then after that, it just burns off, and you're ready to play basketball. But for those that say it's mental, I've never gone up to altitude and ran.
There's got to be a reason that they had the best record in the league at home,
right.
38-3. There's got to be a reason. Traveling from the West, it's very, very tough because if you've played a game the night before anywhere in the West, you're going to get into Denver. You're not going to go to bed before 4 a.m. I think it's a huge factor in that respect over the course of a season. But this is an advantage now for the Warriors because they can go in ahead of time and acclimate themselves. So I think it evens out. They'll still have a home court advantage. But even after the first game, you have 2 days
right.
in between games, 3 days in between games. It's a long time, and so that is going to take that advantage away. There are so many factors, though, with Denver, with the athleticism of this team,
right.
with Iguodala, Fareed. How's the health of Fareed? Is his ankle going to be okay? I think this is a very tough matchup when you have Kenneth Fareed going against David Lee. Because he's very quick, he's tough to stop for David.
Quick
leaper, and it puts a lot of pressure on him. David Lee's going to have to adjust his game a little bit also. With JaVale McGee, when he gets in there, these guys can block shots, and Fareed can get in the way of David Lee. So he's going to have what adjustments. I think he's going to have to learn how to pump fake a little bit in this series, which he does not like to do, which he doesn't do. So that's going to be a factor. But they're going to run and run. How much is Andrew Bogut going to be a factor? Because he's really not in top shape. Can he keep up with the kind of pace? If it is going to be fast pace, can you afford to put him on the floor? Is he going to be a factor in that negatively or positively?
Danilo Gallinari is out, Tom. How much of a factor will that be in this series?
Well, it hurts their depth, but because they have that depth, a guy like Wilson Chandler can come in and have he's been playing fantastic basketball. Shoots a three a little bit for him. They're not a big three-point shooting team, but he can stretch the court, he can drive. I really think what it comes down to in this series is this. Both teams like to run, but when the Warriors run, they fan out. When the Nuggets run, they attack the rim. I mean, they are relentless in attacking the rim. And I think that's where Andrew Bogut will be a factor, hopefully, for the Warriors in this series. It's not so much scoring or passing, but just defending the rim, because they come at you, and they keep coming at you. So a lot of teams in the NBA now, when you run back on the fast break, the old adage used to be make sure you run back to the paint and then come out. Well, now it's run back halfway to the paint and then guard the three-point line, right? With the Nuggets, you better get back to the paint. Because if you don't get back to the paint, someone's going to smash one on your head. Because that's how they play basketball. So it's going to be, can the Nuggets locate shooters on the break? Can the Warriors get back in the paint and keep them from getting to the rim on the break?
And when it goes to a half court, that's where I think Andrew Bogut can be very effective, because Ty Lawson hurts his club with his dribble penetration, and he can change that.
Well, you brought me to the point guard matchup, which I wanted to ask you guys about, because to me, it's usually you talk about the starters, but to me it's a four-deep matchup. It's Ty Lawson and Andre Miller, two totally different players, against Jarrett Jack and Steph Curry. How do you guys see the matchup?
Well, with Andre Miller, he's just crafty is the word I would use. I mean, he's been around forever. I think I might have played against him. I'm not sure. I don't think you played against him, but he's been around a long time.
You have played against him.
I don't know if he can touch the rim. He may be one of the only NBA guys that can't dunk, or maybe he hasn't dunked. Yeah. You know where he scares me? Posting up. He scares me posting up because when he gets the ball down there, he takes guys that are even taller than and bigger than him, certainly bigger than Steph Curry. And Jarrett Jack's tough, and he'll battle him down there, but he's still not going to be afraid of posting him up. He can score and he can pass out of that double team if you bring a double team down there. So that scares me a little bit. Certainly the speed of Ty Lawson. But then again, I mean, you have, if you're the Nuggets, you have Steph Curry and Jarrett Jack to contend with. I mean, you have a guy, I think one of the lineups that Mark Jackson has really kind of used this year when he's really needed something to happen offensively is Landry and Lee. And then you have Clay and Steph and Jarrett Jack out there. So what are they going to do when Jarrett runs the offense and Clay and Steph are running off picks and right. spacing out? It could come down to those four guys and who doesn't turn the ball over, who converts their chances, who makes their free throws, that kind of stuff.
Andre Miller wants to play a couple more years till he's 40 years old, and he will do it.
Crazy.
And one thing about it when he gets on the post, Tom, he can juke you and pump fake you, and he knows how to get himself to the free throw line.
Yeah.
And he's a good free throw shooter.
All that, getting about that high off the ground.
Yeah, because he's clever.
Incredible.
He's clever. And he plays, and he's a terrific passer, and he will throw, there's nobody better throwing from the back court to the front court over the top of the defenders on a guy that's streaking to the basket. But when you get Steph Curry and you get Klay Thompson and you get out into the open court, they can score threes. When Denver gets out into the open court, they're going to go to the basket and get twos. So are the Warriors' three-point shooters going to be a factor? To me, it comes down to field goal percentage. And if you get scoring from Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, the way they've been doing it, you know, they've been combining for sometimes 50, 60 points in games. Right. If you can do that, and they can both be in the 20s, and one of them, Curry, can be the X factor in that, get to the 30s, and then you have Jarrett Jack, I think they can outscore the backcourt. I think the Warriors' backcourt is more prolific scoring than the Denver backcourt.
So with that in mind, you know, the Warriors are a great shooting team. To me, one of the factors I believe is going to be huge in the series, turnovers. Because every time the Warriors have a sloppy pass, not only do they take a chance away from their fine shooters to score, but it gets Denver fueled and off to the races they go.
Turnovers are, I feel like I'm redundant when I say turnovers are, they're always a factor, right?
Right.
There are certain teams you just can't turn the ball over against. Miami's the one that always jumps to mind. You turn the ball over against them, it's death. I mean, you just can't stop them in the open court. Denver is very similar. They don't have the guys like Dwayne Wade and LeBron James that are just killer finishers. But when you turn the ball over, you watch those guys run. I mean, there's Brewer running up the court. There's Iguodala running up the court. There's Fareed running up the court, who doesn't score much in the half court, but he can get up and go. JaVale McGee, for a big guy, can run. So you get the ball into Andre Miller's hands or Ty Lawson's hands off that turnover, boom. And another thing, too, they have a bunch of guys that can handle. So you turn it over, they don't necessarily have to find the point guard. They can just get it and go, and everybody starts running with them. Yeah, turnovers will be key because these guys will feast off turnovers.
Yeah, and when you turn the ball over, you make average players really good players. Corey Brewer.
Yeah.
Corey Brewer can get the ball and go and score layups if you turn the ball over. And there, he's another player. I'm talking about someone that you don't really think about that can change a game. And he can certainly do that. You know, you have to look at the Warriors. They won one game out of the four, and the one they won, they could have lost had Iguodala made the three in time.
Right.
So you've got to look at all that. You've got to be a better rebounding team. You've got to defend the rim. Bogut was not a factor in any of these games, not playing. So it's going to be a terrific series. And I believe this is a series that could go 7 games, by the way. So
I could very easily see us on a plane going back to Denver with the series tied 2-2, and then it's best of 3.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Tim.
So, Tom, how do the Warriors beat the Nuggets?
Well, limit the turnovers. Hit your threes. I mean, Klay Thompson and Steph Curry are going to have to hit threes. There's just no way around that. That's the way this team is built. That's who they rely on to score. David Lee. I mean, the big three guys are going to have to do what they did during the course of the season. They're going to have to be present and accounted for. And consistent through some games. You can't afford to have, Klay Thompson go 2 of 16. And then Steph Curry one game go 3 of 12.
They've got to both be factors in the games. Someone's going to pick up the slack here and there, but they've got to be more consistent.
Both you guys played in playoff competition, so I want to ask you this question. For the Warriors, this is going to be a first time. I mean, Steph Curry, David Lee, the rookies, all these guys are playing in the playoffs for the first time. Mark Jackson's coaching in the playoffs for the first time. Denver has guys that have been there before numerous times. They got George Karl. How much of a factor is that? What kind of a learning curve do you go through playing in the playoffs?
You go on a fast learning curve, and that is an advantage. It's an advantage with George Karl. He's taken Seattle to the finals. He's been in nearly 200 playoff games in his coaching career. And for players having been there, just knowing what it's about, knowing what it takes, that extra bit of focus, the extra bit of concentration, knowing how valuable each and every possession is, and now we talk about turnovers,
right.
Good shots, good basketball decisions, all the little things that can make a difference in 4, 5, 6 points in a game, and that can change the tide. It's very valuable.
Well, Tim, in my vast playoff experiences, I tell people this. It's the same game, but it's a completely different game because you're hyper-focused on everything. And as Jim mentioned, you're talking about 4, 5, 6 points, sometimes even less, that can separate you from a victory in a game and a victory in a series. It's just one of those things that you need to be mentally into every single possession. If you're going to play a pick and roll one way, you better play that pick and roll the same way and know exactly what you're supposed to do. You better know what your rotations are offensively. If you're the secondary option, you better be in the right spot every single time. You can't lose possessions in the playoffs. You know, throughout the regular season, those things come and go and they get lost here and there. But during the playoffs, if you get lost or you don't play something the right way a few times and that decides a game, that could ultimately decide the series.
Right. So none of this my bad stuff, none of that.
Well, it'll still be there.
Yeah.
But sometimes your teammates aren't quite as forgiving as they would be on January 5th.
It's got to be minimal. It really is. There's a small margin of error there, and it just in the playoffs, every mistake. And I've always said there's a play in basketball is there, and then it's gone. If you don't take advantage of that, and that's what the Warriors. They have to be smart, and they've got to be smart with their offense because they do have to score.
Well, the Warriors have taken advantage of their season. They've taken advantage of the talent that they have on the roster, and now we see if they can do that in the playoffs. It's going to be a lot of fun. That's why you play the game. We'll continue with our conversation on Warriors TV. We'll go through some playoff potpourri when we come back.